Hello there, this is Ajit, and today we are going to talk about the most common question I get from entrepreneurs and experts like yourselves on how do I know which idea to pursue, how to not get overwhelmed, how to not pursue the greatest idea that I think today I heard, right? And how to pick those best idea, all right? So I'm going to share with you my exact 4-step system and how to evaluate an idea to know if that's the right idea for you and your business. All right, I call that system LERR. Okay, we're going to go a bit deeper in that, but here is why you really need to listen into why LERR is so important for your business. What happens with us is because we are entrepreneurs, we are so passionate about what we want to achieve, we're so driven, we always are looking at the next way of building our business, the next business that we want to build, the next idea we want to pursue, and how to not really limit our impact in the world, right? And that can cause a lot of overwhelm. And all of us have had those moments where we just completely laid on the bed and said, damn it, there's so much to do, right? When you're starting a business, when we're growing a business, there's always so much to do. How do we know what's the best idea to pursue and how not to be overwhelmed while pursuing that idea? Okay, so here is how when I get a new business idea, for example, when I started a new business called Zentrepreneur, how would I know that Zentrepreneur is the right business for me to start? So I'm going to give you that case study and walk you through the whole mental process and the mental journey that I take to find that idea and to say, is this idea worth it, or is something else that I should pursue? Okay, so first thing is leverage. This is the L of LERR. Leverage simply means is what you're doing right now, whatever is the current reality that you're in, the new idea that you're pursuing, is it leveraged on that idea? Or is it leveraged on the idea of what is already working for your business? It could be, if you're starting a business, it could be as simple as, is it leveraged on the skills that you have? So for example, when we were thinking of going, is Zentrepreneur the right business to get started in? We already saw that as leverage that we had was that I had a big community of coaches that already follow me on another business called Evercoach, right? And that gave me the permission to go, oh, okay, a lot of people who are coaches also want to become speakers, authors, trainers. They want to be able to publish books. They want to be able to publish programs. And so I can use the community, or I can introduce my community of coaches to the idea of saying, hey, do you want to go beyond coaching and want to become an author, a speaker, a digital product creator, whatever that other thing may be, which is what Zentrepreneur really addresses. Zentrepreneur is a community of people who we call Zentrepreneurs, but can also be classified or further segmented into authors, speakers, teachers, coaches, consultants, all of that, and how to really create that ecosystem is what Zentrepreneur really teaches. So first thing that we saw is there existing leverage with my community, with my audience, with what I already have, that will help this new idea that I want to pursue. So that's the first thing, you find the leverage. Second thing that you find is it easy enough? All right, what do you mean by is it easy enough? So for example, if I would weigh an idea of Zentrepreneur, which is an online academy for experts and for Zentrepreneurs, if I would weigh it against building a whole software, right? Even if I can see that I can leverage the community of coaches that we already engage with, it is much harder to do, right? So you kind of go, what is easy? Which one is easy that you can really execute fast enough and get results fast enough, and it's not overly complicated for you to even execute on? Thirdly, you want to evaluate is risk, which is how risky is this idea? Are you going to burn if this idea doesn't work? Can you risk an X amount of dollars and say, okay, this is the amount of risk I can take, and if those dollars are not enough to execute that business idea will get canned and you won't execute on that, right? So that's the third metric where you go, how risky is this idea that I'm pursuing right now? Is it really risky or a little bit risky? How much can I invest in it? How much will I lose if it doesn't work? What's the worst case scenario? And then you evaluate based on risk. Lastly, you look at what's the return on your investment. Now, what I try to think is not only investment in terms of dollars, but also investment in terms of time that you're going to put into it. Is the amount of time that you're going to put at least bring 10 times the reward of what you're investing in? I like to look at my businesses where I go, can I 10x my return on my investment in dollars or in terms of time in the scope of 3 to 6 months? If I can, that idea is what I would pursue first. Now, of course, the timelines can vary based on where you are in your business, how big the business is, how small the business is, but you get the drift. You want to look at what's the return that I will have in my business. Now I know you might go, oh, okay, I will put it against leverage, ease, risk and return, and I should know. Here's a way when you're weighing 2-3 ideas on leveraging and knowing exactly what is going to work. I call it the grid of LERR. Okay, so what you will do is you'll make a grid, you will go leverage, ease, risk and return, and you'll put your ideas, idea 1, idea 2, idea 3. And in a grid like this, let's say you have 3 ideas that you're working with, and then what you would do is you would rate them from a scale of 1 to 5. And this could be a gut check. Sometimes you will know it, of course, and sometimes it'll be a little bit more where you have to go, which one is what number that I have to give to it. But usually you would get the right answer by once you've actually totaled it all up, and I'll show you how it's done. So for example, if I was to evaluate an idea of saying starting an e-commerce store, starting Zentrepreneur, which is an experts academy for experts, or if I had to build a software, okay, I'm going to evaluate those 3 ideas, and let's assume that those are the 3 ideas that you are, and you can put whatever the ideas are, okay. So first thing, leverage. Do I have leverage if I build, and let's say idea 1 is Zentrepreneur, idea 2 is a software, idea 3 is an e-commerce store. Do I have leverage? Knowing what you know about the business, let's say Evercoach.com is the only business that I have right now. So leverage-wise, can I use that community or can I use that business to actually pursue and make my idea 1 really, really successful? I was on a scale of 1 to 5. It's a 5 because it's easy, it's right there, right? On scale of 1 to 5, my software, if I make that software related to coaches or useful to coaches, maybe that will also be a 5. But for e-commerce store, maybe I can't really leverage on my own existing audience, maybe a little bit. So let's give it a 2, right? Gut-wise, that's what I feel, right? Then I go easy. So I go, is it really easy or really complicated, right? For in this scenario, because of the technology that I've already built for Evercoach.com, it's very easy for me to actually deploy a new domain, which is like an online university for Zentrepreneur. So what I will do is, more easy it is, the higher rank it gets or a higher number it gets. So for me, to execute Zentrepreneur, maybe a little bit difficult because I have to find new experts to create trainings for other experts, etc. So maybe I will give it a 4 because it's easy, but not that easy. Software, I'll like, oh man, I have to build a whole new thing for this. This is complicated. It's going to be hard if I'm building something which is completely different. So that's going to be maybe a 2. E-commerce store, again, I don't have technology for it. I don't have a team that already understands this. This is probably going to be a 1, right? Now, third, I will go, okay, what's the risk? What's the risk? What's the worst that can happen if I actually start a domain that is related? I would go, okay, maybe it'll not work. Maybe I will invest $30,000, $40,000 building the first program, getting the whole video crew, creating all that material. So I would say it is low on risk. And the lower the risk, the higher the number, right? Because it's $30,000 is not that much investment in the scale, in the scope of things that I'm thinking. So let's still say, okay, it's a little bit risky, but not that much. Let's give it a 3. It's like medium risk, right? This, on the other hand, is really risky, right? Because software, I don't know. I have to invest like $100,000, $150,000 to make anything half decent, which means I have to rate it low, only a 1. So higher the risk, lower the number, okay? And then e-commerce store, there's softwares already for it, so maybe it's not that risky. The investment is not so high because I can white label things. Maybe a 3 here, okay? Last is reward. Can I really excel on all these things really, really fast? Can I 10x my investment in the scope of 3 to 6 months? On Zentrepreneur, maybe not 10x, but I can definitely 6x my investment, so I will give it a 4. On software, yeah, I can actually get a lot of return if I actually do a good job at it, maybe a 4 again. And then idea 3, e-commerce, I'm not sure if I can get that much return because e-commerce takes time to pick up and all that kind of stuff. Maybe I'll give it a 2. Now here is the obvious answer that you would see once you total it all up, right? So it's 5 plus 4, that is 9, plus 4, that is 13, and then this is 16. This is good, right? And this, though, is 5, 7, 8, 12. Not winning. And this is even worse. It's 4, 7, 8. Sorry, bad math. But now you can see clearly that this idea is the one that you want to pursue. It's the highest score. This may be the next best, and this is the worst idea to pursue, right? So now you know exactly how to really know which idea is the best idea that you want to go for based on what you already have and what is easy, what is risky, what is going to give you the maximum reward. And that's how you can prioritize taking away overwhelm from you and giving you and your team a lot more power to work on ideas that will always give you higher return. So Here is the LERR system that you can use right now to evaluate all the ideas that you have in your stack and you're trying to pursue and go at them at the same time. You can actually go, no, let's hold back and let's see which one's the one we go first at, then second, then third, then fourth, and prioritize it based on the overall scheme of things that is going to be better for your business. So now you have the LERR system to make sure that you know what idea to pursue and what idea is going to give you the maximum return on the time and money that you will invest in it. You also now have a system that will allow you not to be overwhelmed. To get more systems like these, what I request you to do is ask me the right questions. You know, the quality of our questions define the quality of the answers. What I request is in the comments, go ahead and ask the questions that are troubling you right now in your business so I can go back, do the understanding and study and make sure all the systems that we have or our friends have, experts have, our mastermind members have, books have, to bring them to you so you can grow your practice and create your impact far beyond where you already create your impact. So go ahead in the comments box below, go ahead and ask the questions that are troubling you right now so we can give you the answers. And go ahead and also subscribe to the channel so next time when we are answering your question, when we are solving that problem that is bothering you really a lot, you can actually get a notification for you to actually come back and watch that video and solve those problems. This is Ajit, and I'm so glad and excited that you watched this video and you're going to use the system to solve your problems.